So, Iain, welcome to Quebec City.
Thank you very much.
And you'll be with us tonight at the Québec Whisky Club.
Yes.
It's the first time in Quebec?
This is my first time in the province of Quebec, and what a beautiful province it is, and some wonderful people.
Great. Well, it's going to be a great night. I have a couple of questions before, so let's go with the first one. Why Bowmore is still at 40% ABV and chill filtered when Glen is now at 48?
I think what we have to realise is that the global education for Scotch whisky has gained a lot of momentum through the internet and social media platforms. But I think for new consumers coming in, there's still a little bit of intimidation of something that's at such a high alcohol by volume. It can be something that polarises people.
Okay.
And, you know, when we have expressions at cask strength with Bowmore, but we also have our standard expressions at 40 or 43, depending on the market, it makes it more accessible to the consumer. And I think really that's for me what whisky should be about. It should be accessible to everybody.
Everyone.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's good. Can you talk to me about the Doric culture and its influence on the Glen distillery?
Well, Doric is a really interesting language because Doric is the old Aberdeenshire language, and a lot of that actually has its roots in Scandinavia as well. So you will actually find that a lot of the old Doric words have their roots in Scandinavian. They're a mix almost between the Gaelic and the Norse Scandinavian dialects. So that's really where it comes from. And if you think about the old Scottish language and the current Scandinavian languages, there are a lot of similarities in a lot of the words.
This is why some people in Scotland will say Glen Garioch and then other will say Glen Garioch.
Yeah,
right?
I mean, the Scotch whisky distilleries are notoriously hard to pronounce.
No kidding.
Glengarry is certainly one of these, but the Garioch is known as the granary of Aberdeenshire, and that's where we always grew the best barley in Scotland for making single malt Scotch whisky.
Talking about actually single malt, are you any plans in the future to come up with a special peated edition made from the stock that would you have before the closing? I'm not talking about the 1994 Glengarry, but I'm talking about like from like really old stuff.
Yeah, I mean, we've got a stock profile which is absolutely wonderful, and Rachel Barry, who's the current master blender at Morrison Bowmore, I know reviews the stock heavily, and we have some fantastic old expressions of Glengarry, and actually some from the 70s, which are some of the smokiest whiskey I've ever seen in my life. Really smoky.
Well, can't wait to see that. So, as a global malt ambassador, the title, is it correct? Yes.
Master of Malt.
Master of Malt, sorry about that. Master of Malt. You are presenting 3 different products from 3 different regions.
Absolutely.
What's your approach like? How do you work it out? Because it's quite difficult. Like, I mean, it's not like you love your babies equally. I mean, they're so different.
Yeah, but I think, you know, whiskey can, and your enjoyment from whiskey can actually be affected by the environment, who you're with, what you're doing. And I'm a great believer that there's a whiskey for every occasion, and I think with our portfolio we have the breadth and depth within that to keep the consumers really enticed with the products that we have available.
Yeah, that's an advantage,
Yeah.
correct. And I have one last question, again with Glengarry. It's on the eastern part of the island, right?
That's right, just sits north of Aberdeenshire.
But you're still pretty far from Dufftown, from the Speyside,
Yes,
right?
we are. Yeah.
What do you think is the best element that represent this region that we find in the whiskey?
I'm a great believer that the whiskey that you drink should represent the region it's produced in. So I like to see that peaty medicinal character on the Islay styles. I like to see the lighter floral character that's more synonymous with Speyside, and that big, robust Highland character, because I think when most people who've never visited Scotland think of Scotland, it's the glens, it's the mountains, it's the strong rivers.
Water, be a very big.
I mean, water doesn't tend to influence the flavour overly. What you need is a lot of water and it to be cold. And in Scotland, we're fortunate, we get a lot of water that falls from the sky.
We know cold too.
And it tends to be quite cold as well. So for me, that's the most important thing. But certainly with Glengarry, I think it's that the granary of Aberdeenshire. When you think of granary, you're thinking of these big malty, sweet flavours coming through, the heather, the honey, just a big hug in a glass.
Well, can't wait to taste that. So thank you very much for coming.
Thank you very much for
Anytime,
having us.
come back.
Thank you.